Namaste, everyone. Good morning. Welcome to the Awakening Way Spiritual Community. This is our weekly Sunday gathering, and we so enjoy the ability to just come together in whatever way we can. And the reason we enjoy that is that there is this energy, and it is the energy of love. It is the energy of appreciation. It's the energy of joy. It's the energy of that sense of community and oneness and wholeness that we experience when we're together. And hopefully, everyone who comes and joins us on Sunday feels that energy because it is genuine. And we are blessed to be a part of it. Awakening Ways is a New Thought spiritual community in the lineage of Dr. Ernest Holmes. And there is a philosophy, a New Thought philosophy that we follow here. There are teachings that we teach here. There are beliefs that we hold here. But the main focus of of any New Thought church, whether it is a church like ours or Unity or Divine Science, um, the a couple of the main pieces are that we believe there's only one divine spiritual presence, by whatever name we call it, and that each and every person, each and everything, all there is part of that one presence, that one power, that God, that Mother, Father, God, as Unity calls it. It is one unified wholeness, and it is in us, and it is as us, and we experience it to the level that we are able to connect to it and to feel it and to sense it and to allow it to pour forth from us. So we focus on finding ways for us to connect in deeper ways to that big R reality of the universe, that one unified wholeness. And if we need help, then we turn to one another. If we need help, we come to Sunday gatherings and we get filled with spiritual wisdom. We have classes, we have meditations, we have small groups that meet. There are so many ways that anyone can be helped finding new ways to connect in a deeper way to that divine presence, whatever it is it's called in your own mind and heart. So that is our focus. That is the goal of almost any New Thought community, to allow us to connect with that and then from that place live a greater and grander life. Our little slogan here is living the consciously awakened life, and that is what we are all about, is waking up to the awareness of the goodness that life is. So thank you for coming here this morning. Thank you for joining us. We always say that you chose wisely, because it will be a wonderful morning. It's guaranteed. We will have an uplifting message. There will be wonderful music, and we all hold each other in that energy of light and love. So whatever it is that brought you here this morning, and wherever you go when this gathering is finished, for right now, for this special moment in time, welcome home. We've been waiting for you. We like to begin each gathering with a form of meditation and prayer, just to get us centered and prepared and open to receive the music and to receive the message that is coming, so that our hearts and minds are fully opened and in that greater vibration. So if you will, just join me for a moment and allow your eyes to softly close if you're comfortable with that. And just take a couple of deep breaths in your own way. Every time we take that deep breath, we are, kind of, it's like when we were young, in goes the good air and out comes the bad air. Well, we don't really mean that, but we are refreshing our bodies. We are allowing all of that kind of air that needs to be expelled to come out. And we are oxygenating our bodies. So just take one more deep breath. deep and full and let it out. And I invite you to listen to these words this morning from Ernest Holmes. He says, since the only life you can have is the life of spirit within you, you need but permit its radiance to flow through your thought into self-expression. You are surrounded by a dynamic force, a great surge of living power. You are immersed in and saturated with the vital essence of life. Its presence permeates everything, binding all together in one complete whole. And so right here and right now, I know, I sense, I feel that light and that loving energy. I know that that divine intelligence is right where I am. It is right where we all are, for how could it be where we are not? It is right here. It is right now. God is ever present, all powerful, all knowing. And so we open this morning to the awareness of that presence in and around and through us. Through every experience this morning, through our experience of being in the vibrations of the music that lifts us higher and takes us deeper. We are aware with our minds and our hearts that there is something that we need to hear this morning from the message that Dr. Frank shares. And we are open, ready, and available for that message. We feel the loving energy and support of each and every person on this call. We know that it is always, always loving, kind, and generous. And so everything is ready. Everything is prepared. Spirit is here in all of its magnificent glory. And we open and we say yes to everything that is about to take place. For it is good and very, very good. I accept this, I give thanks, and so it is. Amen.
I heard the newsman say we're gonna go to war. Let's do a little damage and even up some score. I heard the newsman say life is getting hard. Dare not trust your brother and don't let down your guard. Well, if that is true, there's only one thing left for me to do. I'm gonna hold the high watch. I'm gonna dream a better day. I'm gonna hold the high watch and start a peaceful revolution. I'm gonna hold the high watch, meditate and pray. I'm on a mission. Yes, you say I'm on a mission. I'm on a mission of peace. I heard the newsman say something's going down. Ain't enough prosperity to go around. I heard the newsman say terror's on the rise. Look and see the fear in everybody's eyes. If that is true, there's only one thing left for me to do. We better hold the high watch. I'm gonna dream a better day. I'm gonna hold the high watch and start a peaceful revolution. hold the high watch, meditate and pray. I'm on a mission. Yes, I'm on a mission. I'm on a mission of peace. In my mind is how it's meant to be. In my mind is all that I can see. In my mind, I know what I'm gonna do. Dreaming through and hold the high watch. Dream a better day. I'm gonna hold the high watch and start a peaceful revolution. I'm gonna hold the high watch, meditate and pray. I'm on a mission. Yes, I'm on a mission. I'm on a mission. Oh yeah, I'm on a mission. I'm on a mission of peace.
Thank you, Jimmy. It was wonderful and exactly what we needed today. Good morning, beloveds. Namaste. You know, our seed of awakening for this month is beginnings. And the dictionary defines beginnings as the start of something. I hope that what went on this week doesn't qualify. I know this has been a very difficult week for some of us. I think that probably January 6, 2021 is going to go down in history alongside December 7th, 1941 and September 11th, 2001 as days of infamy. As an old political science major in my younger days and someone who grew up raised by politically active parents in the partisan politics of Chicago, watching a mob of terrorist insurgents running through our capital, invading it, looting it, desecrating one of the most sacred buildings of our democratic traditions in our republic, really broke my heart. It broke my heart. In private, I found myself weeping, literally, in shame and rage and loss. And I'm sure the same thing happened to some of you. So, but the question I had to ask myself is, with this question about the topic of beginning, is it a coincidence that it happened on the same day as the Christian celebration of Epiphany? I happen to think the coincidence is the divine's way of remaining anonymous, so probably. Epiphany is a celebration of the visit of the three wise men to the baby Jesus and their revelation by God of God in the person of Jesus. It's also known as the 12th day of Christmas. The dictionary definition of Epiphany has two different definitions. A revelatory manifestation of a divine being, which is what the original Epiphany was supposed to be. But the second one is a sudden insight or intuitive understanding. And if there was ever a day that called and a week that called for Epiphany, this was it. This was it. I found that this felt like more like an ending than a beginning. Not the ending of one administration and the beginning of another. That's the superficial. But the end of our illusion that our democratic institutions and our republic itself can go along permanently without deep soul searching about who we are as a nation. That was when I began literally to have an epiphany. It was an ending. But for any new thing to begin, an old thing must end. Emerson reminds us that everything moves in circles. Every end has a beginning, or is a beginning. And this ending is not fully played out. And we need to pay attention to what the beginning is. We decide what the beginning is, and it's up to us. Now, this ending isn't fully played out. The darkness still surrounds us. There will continue to be some violence. Probably, it's been threatened. But you know, Jesus, in the Gnostic Gospel of Thomas, the disciples come to Jesus and they ask him when the end will come. And he turns to them and says, have you found the beginning then that you wish to know the end? And that idea of really knowing the beginning and staying in the beginning is an important one for us. You know, many people in our teaching, including some really well-known New Thought teachers, have become involved in social justice issues because they felt unable to stand back. They use spiritual principles to involve themselves in the world of conditions. While I understand that desire, I have agreed with them for 4 years, and I still do, in spite of the events of January 6th. We have no power, physical power, over what comes next. But what we do know is that we, who call ourselves spiritual beings in this teaching, have, by our own descent into the world of condition, instead of rising in consciousness around it, come to own a share of the condition. Don't misunderstand. If there's something we can do, we should do it. But spending our time preaching to the choir about the problem instead of being in the answer merely makes us part of the problem. Meister Eckhart said, no one has ever gone astray save for those who held too much to what was outside them from the very beginning. Knowing our only power is through our alignment with spirit, with the divine. Sometimes we still allow ourselves to become involved in what's outside us, even if it's only emotionally. That's understandable, but in doing so, it means we've never really freed ourselves from the world of conditions as we try to do our work of consciousness, and it means we lose our power to make a difference. As spiritual beings, we have the power to decide what the new beginning will be. Not just for ourselves, but for the world. To do that, we have to decide which side we stand on, not which side politically, but do we stand on the side of anger, fear, and judgment, or do we stand on the side of spirit, knowing that God is present in it and that we have no right or need to judge? Cause and effect will deal with that. That's always the way it is. That's the law. To do so, we have to be willing to do what's necessary to attain the highest consciousness possible for us in any moment. The best way to arrive at the highest consciousness is to have a great faith in the willingness and the ability of spirit to do for us by working through us. A lot of people come to me and say, how do I get faith? The answer is we get faith by working for it, by practicing it. It's like any other skill. It's like learning a sport. It's like learning to cook. It's like anything. You can only learn it by working it and practicing it. Faith is an attitude, a mental attitude toward life that can be cultivated. It can be consciously acquired. You can acquire it. I've acquired it. Those of us that have been in this teaching for years have acquired it. Any desired state of consciousness can be acquired if we work at it long enough. It's time to work it. If there was ever a time to work it, it's now. We may say to ourselves, there seem to be so many caught up in the condition on both sides of the conflict and so few of us who walk the spiritual path. How can we make a difference? Whenever I'm confronted with a problem that seems overwhelming, I reflect on Holmes' words, and you've heard me say it. 1, alone in consciousness with the infinite constitutes a complete majority. It might be me, or it may be you, who aligns perfectly with spirit and consciousness. But if together we all practice raising our consciousness, then together we create the atmosphere in which one or more of us can attain that absolute consciousness we seek now. How are we to do that? It comes back to the practice of personal nonviolence for me. You know, the season for nonviolence is going to begin at the end of this month on January 30th. And I haven't talked to Terry about this, but I'm planning on doing another series of 64 days of quotes from Gandhi and meditations on it, along with some spiritual practices, because I think it's really needed this year. Gandhi said that if you wish to practice nonviolence in the world, you have to be nonviolent. You have to become nonviolent. For most of us, nonviolence toward others comes fairly easily, except when we get angry. When we're angry at others, whether we touch them or not, we're being violent toward them. But the nonviolence toward ourselves, our judgments, our criticisms of ourselves, those are the most destructive and insidious. We have to first become nonviolent toward ourselves. How do we do that? For myself, I go back to the steps of attaining consciousness that I learned, frankly, when I was a child from one of my earliest spiritual teachers, Winnie the Pooh, and his rules for enlightenment. I know it sounds silly in the context of what's going on in the world, but if you haven't read Pooh as an adult, believe me, what's in there is so spiritually pure and spiritually appropriate to right now that it's amazing. And it's really there if you know where to look for it. So here's what Pooh taught me. Number 1 is know what you're seeking. Pooh said, as they were all gathering, the creatures of the 100-acre forest were gathering to go on a hunt. They were hunting for the heffalump. Pooh said, before beginning a hunt, it is wise to ask someone what you're looking for before you begin looking for it. Trying to be your own guide is like trying to drive home blindfolded. You know, there's another quote that in Pooh, I think it's in the house at Pooh Corner, where Pooh says, I'm never lost. I always know where I am, even if where I know I am is lost. Trying to be your own guide is just not going to work for you ever. Even if you know where it is, you won't get there. Those of us who are serious students of consciousness and law know this. If you're not one, become one. Take classes, practice prayer, meditation daily. If you can't take a class, read a book. Ernest Holmes, Emmett Fox, Raymond Charles Barker, Wayne Dyer, all of the other wonderful New Thought writers available. When we're stuck at home, it's a wonderful time to practice these principles, to practice what we know to be true, to pray, to meditate, to get into a consciousness where we can be the ones who bring the light to the darkness in the world today. Secondly, release the past. Release the past. The hardest part is what is left behind, said Pooh. It's time to let go. Now, the only thing holding you back is your past, what you've been taught to believe and what you haven't forgiven. I had to release my anger, resentment, and judgment of those who did what happened on Wednesday and those who enabled it. I found myself in a place where my only refuge was in spirit through prayer and meditation. And I had to do that because I did become angry. Terry can tell you I became enraged as I sat and I watched it. Actually, I was standing and watching it because I was working on the affirmations. You know, as I said, I found myself in a place where my only refuge was in spirit through prayer and meditation. And you'll find it too, if you're not already doing that. What's holding you back is everything, everyone, and every situation from your past. Let it go. I was once told by a very wise man, don't owe a debt to yesterday or borrow from tomorrow. Today is enough to deal with. The second thing I learned from Pooh is you have to accept who you are now. The things that make me different are the things that make me, said Pooh. Who you are this moment is the only place to begin. You have to start where you are right now. When Terry and I teach classes, we're always mindful of the fact that when we teach, we have to take people where they are in order to help them awaken to their higher consciousness. We can't teach the class from where we are because they'll never understand what we're talking about. Who you are is the only place to begin. You have to start where you are. People often say to me, I tried reading Science of Mind years ago, and it made no sense at all. Now I actually understand it. Of course, you're not the same person now you were then. The same is true of our lives. Really get to know who you are. You have to take some time to really know yourself, your values and your beliefs, and how you arrived at the psychological state you're in now. That's why our practical spirituality classes focus not on the teachings, but on the student, and help the student to embody the teachings in their lives by dealing with those issues in their lives that have kept them from moving up in consciousness. Now, I'm not talking about what happened on Wednesday as I go through this, because what happened on Wednesday happened outside of us. And it's what happens on the inside of us that ultimately is going to make a difference. So you have to accept who you are now in order to change. You have to practice positive self-talk and affirmations, challenge the old voices or negative self-talk as soon as it arises. Rather than trying to hide or ignore your flaws, choose to acknowledge them. Choose to be loving about their role in your life. One of the things that people tell Terry and I is that they appreciate how on Sunday we're not afraid to show our flaws. Of course, the only way we grow in consciousness is to admit, not just to ourselves, but to others, what those flaws are. You have to accept that everything that's happened in your life has led you to this point, and it'll carry you to your goals as you work toward them. I tell people all the time, everything that's happened to you in your life made you who you are right now, and you couldn't be here if it hadn't happened. So spend some time with yourself, by yourself, engaging in enjoyable activities so you can bond with yourself and fall in love with that person. It's really important. And now, as we're home by ourselves and can't go out and can't do things and can't socialize, is a perfect time to really get to know yourself and bond with yourself. And finally, know that you're going to have easy days And you're going to have hard days. No matter who you are, no matter how much you grow, you're going to have easy days and you're going to have hard days. Take them as they come. The only difference is that as you grow spiritually, you have tools to deal with the hard days as they come. That's all. That's the only difference. As the Zen Buddhists say, before enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. After enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. Life goes on, whether you're enlightened or not, whether you're awakened or not. Next is don't overthink everything. We all have a tendency to do this. Why is this happening to me? Why is God doing this? Why? Why is the most useless question in the world. Don't ever overthink things. There's a little bit in one of the Winnie the Pooh books, and again, I think it's in House and Pooh Corner, where there's a conversation between Piglet and Pooh about Rabbit. Rabbit's clever, said Pooh thoughtfully. Yes, said Piglet. Rabbit's clever. And he has brain. Yes, Piglet said. Rabbit has brain. There was a long silence. I suppose, said Pooh, that's why he never understands anything. The intellect can help you to understand the divine, but it will never help you experience. The intellect can help you to understand what's going on in the world, but it will never help you to understand the motivations that other people have unless you experience them. We have to take it beyond our intellect and move into the realm of experience. Move from the head to the heart and really experience it. Whether it's enlightenment, moving up in consciousness, or whether it's understanding what's going on in the world. As the Sufis say, a donkey loaded with books is still just a donkey. We can read all the books in the world, we can know everything there is to know, and if we haven't experienced it, we understand nothing. Socrates, as he was forced to poison himself by the people of Athens, was talking to several of his students, and they said, "It's been said that you're the wisest man in Athens." And his response was, "If I am the wisest man in Athens, it's because I know nothing." The more we're able to admit that we know nothing and have to keep practicing, the better off we are. Because there reaches a point where you have to begin practicing what you've learned in order to really have it, to really practice any spiritual teaching, so that it brings you to awakening takes time, energy, and above all, dedication, and you have to commit yourself to it. And if there was ever a time in history when we need to commit ourselves to that, when we need to do it in order to move the world in the direction of love and peace, it's now. The reason we overthink everything is because we're looking for a problem that needs to be fixed. People often come into spiritual teachings looking for what's wrong with themselves or what's wrong with the teachings instead of what's right. And the same thing is true in our day-to-day existence. There is nothing to be fixed. Everything is exactly as it should be because it's exactly as it is. And it's as it is so that we can learn from it and grow from it and learn how we have to be more aware and loving and conscious as we go through it. Focus on what's in front of you and what you can do about it. Just what's in front of you, because you can't do anything about what's going on in Washington or in the minds of people who are different from you. The next thing Pooh taught me was just love. Just love. Some people care too much, said Pooh. I think it's called love. Piglet said, how do you spell love? Pooh said, you don't spell it, Piglet. You feel it. Our teaching is based upon spiritual law. But once you know the law and how to use it, forget about the law and just love. Ernest Holmes said, love is the fulfillment of the law. That is, it's only through love that the law can fulfill itself in your experience. So as we learn the law, that wonderful law of cause and effect, and all of its corollaries, the law of correspondence, the law of mental equivalence, etc., as we learn them, then we let go of them and just love, because that's where it fulfills itself in our experience. Love and nonviolence are inseparable. Being truly unconditionally loving means being nonviolent. Understanding that as much as we don't want to admit it, the people who did what was done in Washington did it for a reason. They did it out of their own fear. They did it out of their own anger. They did it out of their own feeling of impotence, powerlessness. And it drove them to do something that any rational person would know was wrong. Stay in the moment. What day is it? Said Pooh. It's today, squeaked Piglet. My favorite day, said Pooh. Live each day as if it's the most important day in your life, because it is. It's the beginning. It's the beginning of tomorrow. It's the beginning of the rest of your life. It's the most important day in your life that you've lived up until now. Eckhart Tolle said, we can relive the pain of the past or feel fear about the future, and neither one is real. The only reality is this now moment. Buddhists call this idea of staying in the now mindfulness, being mindful of what you're doing. That's much different than I'm washing the dishes while we're talking and the TV is on. That's not mindfulness. Thomas More, author of Care of the Soul and many other books, numerous other books, once told a story about walking with Thich Nhat Hanh, the world famous Buddhist mindfulness teacher. They were at Esalen, up in Esalen in Big Sur, and they were walking from a meeting room to the dining room for lunch. And he said, Han, I'm finally starting to understand mindfulness. Really? Thich said. What are you doing right now? I'm walking to the dining room talking to you, said Moore. No, said Thich, you still don't understand it. Why? Asked Moore. What are you doing? Walking, replied Thich. One of the best ways not to obsess over problems over which you have no control in this moment is to focus totally on what you're doing in this moment. Focus totally on what you're doing in this moment. And finally, Pooh taught me, don't create problems that don't exist. Supposing a tree fell, Pooh, while we were underneath it, asked Piglet fearfully. Supposing it didn't, said Pooh after careful thought. Piglet was comforted by this. Why is it that we all anticipate disasters that may or may not happen? Because we're still carrying around childhood beliefs about not being enough. It's time to get rid of them and know the highest and best for yourself, and the world is unfolding. One of the problems with following the news, and especially the commentators that pass for newscasters on any news source, is that their job is to make you keep coming back. And so they have to convince you that things are worse than they really are in order to get you to come back. Who would come back if the news was good? There's a Canadian abundance teacher named John Keogh who shared one time at a workshop we were in that he's been going all over the world trying to get news outlets to have once a week for a full half hour, nothing but good news. And he couldn't even get anybody to talk to him. But he got to New Zealand, and the New Zealand people at the New Zealand National Television Network, NZN, I think it's called, said that they would talk to the management and see if they could do it. They thought it was a really good idea. And a few days later, he got a call from them and said, "We're sorry, John, we can't do it." Management said it would never sell. People wouldn't come back. Make a practice of checking out the news headlines once a day so you know what's transpired, and that's all. Forget about the rest. Especially forget about the commentators. They're feeding you the worst possible interpretation of what's coming back, of what's happening, so you'll keep coming back. This is something I personally have forgotten recently. Instead of focusing on prayer work for the perfect healing of our planet, I've been watching the news. I admit it. And I shouldn't be. But I have. And now I've stopped. How does all this help what's befallen our country? It doesn't, but it helps you. It helps you to become that person who can move up in consciousness, to be consciousness of your God presence. And from that place, you can make a difference because you join the collective prayer in a more effective way. And who knows, you could be the one who, alone in consciousness with the infinite, constitutes a complete majority. So what is that prayer? That prayer is the prayer of peace and love. And I want to ask you now to join me in it. Please just, if you will, close your eyes and move into that consciousness of truth about the divine. That there is one consciousness, one life source, one love in the universe. For God truly is love. The first name of God is love. God's entire impulsion in creation is love. It is what animates all living beings, all sentient beings. All consciousness is animated by love, whether we recognize it or not. It is the truth of all things, and I know that it is the truth for me. And as it's the truth for me, I know that it is the truth for you, and for everyone walking the planet and every living being walking the planet or flying on the planet or swimming on the planet. It makes no difference. Our true nature is love. I know that there are people in this world who, because of the things that have gone on in their life, are unable to feel loving, to be loving. We watched it on Wednesday. A whole mob of people unable to feel loved by their country, unable to love their country, and the democratic institutions of the republic attacked it. Not some foreign power, not some foreign terrorists, but the people right here attacked our nation out of a sense of feeling unloved. When we feel unloved, it's because we have separated ourselves from the truth of our oneness with the divine. And so I know right here and right now that each of us, as we move into that consciousness of prayer, that consciousness of love, that consciousness of the divine, and we hold them in love, for that is our job. Our job is not to oppose them, but to hold them in love. And I do that now. I hold them in the divine love, that unconditional love. It says, yes, I know you're in fear. I know you're hurting. I know you feel unwanted and unloved. But I love you, even in that ugliness. I love you, for it is not your ugliness. It is the ugliness of your fear and lack of love. I hold them in that light, as I know each of us holds them in that light. And I know that as we do that, as I hold them, as I align myself perfectly with Spirit, as I enter into that consciousness of the divine, and I do that now, and I hold them in love, I know that the healing has begun. It may take some time. I don't know. It depends on how much people accept it. But I know that ultimately, the only possible outcome, the only beginning, the only ending for this beginning is that they feel love and they feel part of their country again. And they don't feel that they have to tear it down. I know, and I declare that this is unfolding right here and right now in this very moment. And for that, I am so grateful. I give thanks. I give thanks for this reminder of what we need to do and how we need to do it. I give thanks for this wonderful lesson in unconditional love that has been offered us by the universe on Wednesday. For it's only when we are challenged to love unconditionally that we remember to do so. And I remember now to love unconditionally. And in doing that, I am part of the divine. I give thanks for that too. Knowing that I've spoken my word, and that word is the word of unconditional love, I know that that love has impelled the law. For it is the grand impulsion of the universe. I know that it has impelled the law, and the law has acted. And there's nothing more I need do but release this and let it go and be at peace, for I know that divine is in this, that the divine is unfolding, and that all things are unfolding perfectly. And there is nothing that I need to do to change what is, for it will be and is already. So I release and I let go, and I say, and so it is. Amen.
Everyone's connected, though we're not the same. 'Cause every life has meaning. Every life has meaning. Every life has meaning. It's all about love. Some folks work all day. Oh, I'm tired. Others just have fun. Yippee! Some folks are watching TV on the couch. Others like to run a marathon. Everyone's connected, though we're not the same. 'Cause every life has meaning. Every life has meaning. Every life has meaning. It's all about love. Gandhi said it, all about love. Buddha said it, all about love. Jesus said it, all about love. Krishna said it, Burma said it, the Beatles said it, yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh. Some folks trust in spirit, others struggle and doubt. Some folks hoard possession, all mine. Some just do without. I'm fine. Everyone's connected, though we're not the same. 'Cause every life has meaning. 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 Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Wow. What a morning. What a morning. I want to thank e- everyone. Frank, I want to thank you for um, the message this morning. I want to thank you for being the example of how to move through uncomfortable situations and come out shining at the other side. I want to thank you for reminding us about the truth, about love. And I don't know how Jim Townsend could support you better than he did this morning from beginning to the end with the first song and the last song. It was just like you guys worked it out together to make it just absolutely a perfect morning. And I don't know about everyone else, but it was exactly what I needed to hear this morning. So lovely, lovely morning. Thanks to Jimmy and thanks to Karen for their music. Thanks also to Ron Gallagher, who it's imperative that I thank Ron each and every week because he's the guy. He's the guy. He's the guy that makes it happen. He's the guy that makes things run smoothly. And we're always grateful to you, Ron. Thank you for being there for us each and every week. You know, we're into yet another year of doing this online thing, and I don't know how long it's going to be. I don't know what's happening, but I know that we're here, and I know that we're surviving, and I know that life is moving on, and we're still loving one another, and we're still supporting one another. And I know that you continue to support us by showing up on Sundays and by your loving contributions, and we are here because of that. And so thank you so much. Thank you so much for that. I do want to remind everyone about the fundraiser we have going on, and it's called the jars of affirmation. Last year they were called jars of inspiration. Last year they were inspirational readings, and then this year, I'm sorry, this year, they are daily affirmations. 50 days of affirmations. So the idea is that every day, oh, and here they are. One of these jars is waiting for you. Look at those goodies in there waiting to, you just open up the jar every day and you take out an affirmation. And, most people find a place to put it, maybe on the kitchen table or maybe on the refrigerator for the day. And then they practice that affirmation for the day. And in gratitude for what they've received as a result of practicing that affirmation, they place a monetary offering inside, $1 or, whatever they want to put in there. And at the end of 50 days, when the affirmations have all been taken out and replaced with, financial offering, love offerings in the jar, then you just return the offering to Awakening Ways. You don't have to return the jar, but we would ask that you send the offering to us and as a fundraiser to us in gratitude and thanksgiving. So if you want one of these jars, you have to sign up for one of these jars. So we make sure that we have enough. Last year, I think we ran out. So be sure to send an email to Awakening Ways at the grid. What is it, Frank? Org or net? At the grid.net. Thank you. At the grid.net. And say jars, and then say, I want one of these jars. And if you want one of these jars, then on next Saturday between 12 and 2, you can come and to the office, and it will be a drive-through. You just drive through and we'll hand you your jar and off you go with your jar. We're also going to be there on Monday, which would be, let's see, I think that's the 16th is Saturday and the 18th is Monday. On Monday from 12 to 2, we will also be there to hand out jars. But you have to sign up to get one. So do that today if you haven't done it. If you're outside the area and you want to participate in this fundraiser, then all you need to do is send us your desire that that's what you want to do, and be sure to include your mailing address so that we can mail the affirmations to you. We won't be mailing the jar, but we'll be mailing a container for you to put the affirmations in so that you can still participate in a daily way and have something for you. It's probably going to be a pretty little bag or something like that. So a wonderful opportunity for us all to stay in consciousness. And do we need to do that? I'm thinking yes. So if you are in a place where you're really struggling with something going on in your life, and maybe it's what's going on in the world, I don't know, maybe it's a health issue, maybe it's relationship, whatever's going on for you, if you need to be held in prayer, also remember that you can always submit a prayer request to us. You can send an email and just put on the subject line that this is a prayer request. And our soul support team will hold you in prayer for a week. And then if you need more support, then let us know and we'll hold you in prayer for another week. We can also pray for any friends or relatives, loved ones that you need prayer support, and we're happy to do that with the understanding that you have asked them if they are willing and available for us to pray for them, that you have their permission to do that. It's a glorious and grand community, and we are here for one another. A reminder that on the 24th, I think that's the date. Yes, the 24th of January, Susan Jones will be speaking, and we're looking forward to having Susan speak. I love her wisdom. She is a fabulous, fabulous speaker. You want to join us for that experience. And with that, I hope I didn't forget anything, but if I did, yeah, right. Thank you, Linda. I can see you. Oh, well, if I did, then maybe it didn't need to be said, right? We know what our work to do is. You know, when we leave this gathering, we know what we have to do. And that is to open our hearts in love. We are the emissaries of love and peace. That is who we are. And that is the mindset and the heart space that we have to come from here on out. And there will be days that will be hard. And there will be things that are happening that maybe we like, maybe we don't like, it doesn't matter. We are still called to hold the high watch, as Jimmy sang about. We're called to hold peace and love. And so just in closing, I just want to know together that we all know and understand and appreciate the power of love, the power of kindness, the power of peace to change lives, to move mountains, to create new worlds. This power is beyond question. And we allow that power, that inner power, that internal power to take seed and root and grow and blossom within us and to come forth from us in everything we think, everything we do, and everything we say, in all of our interactions with one another. We carry the light of peace and love. We know this is our charge and we accept it so willingly and with gratitude. We're grateful for this mission and we carry it forth from this place today. I give thanks for this opportunity. I give thanks for this blessing and for this remarkable morning. And I release my word now. I let it go and I let it be. And so it is. Amen.